The Work Order tab supports three main activities. 1. Editing work order and department level scheduling directives that influence scheduling. 2. Manually sequencing work orders. And 3. Communicating scheduling output so it can be analyzed by the person working on the trial schedule. The Work Order tab has three windows, separated by movable sliders. The top window lists all of the work orders currently in the scheduler. The bottom left window shows department information for the currently selected work order. Two views are available, an editable grid view and a display-only Gantt chart view. The bottom right window shows employee assignment information for the currently selected work order and department. You'll see many of the same work order columns on the Work Order tab that you see on the Job Tree tab when viewing or editing work order level information. Changing information on one tab automatically updates the other tab. Whereas the Job Tree tab presents information as part of a particular job's hierarchy of related information, the Work Order tab focuses on the list of work orders that get scheduled. Each row contains information about the work order, including job and job item level information. Work orders belonging to the same job don't necessarily follow one another on the grid, since the work order grid can be sorted in a number of ways. Probably the most important column on the work order grid is the scheduling sequence number. Sequence determines scheduling position and has a profound effect on a work order's scheduled start and finish dates. Work orders positioned towards the front of the scheduling queue get first shot at available resources, and thus tend to experience fewer delays due to resource shortages. However, work orders positioned further back in the queue are more likely to experience resource shortages and thus tend to be scheduled further out in the future since they need to wait until resources become available. Please refer to the Work Order tab chapter in the Scheduler User's Guide for an in-depth explanation of each column. When you run the scheduler, it automatically refreshes the work order grid, as well as all of the Gantt charts. If you make work order level changes on the Job Tree tab, you can manually refresh the Work Order tab by requesting Refresh Grid from the Work Order Grid pop-up menu. If you use automatic work order sequencing and you change a work order's target finish date, or adjust a work order's priority, you'll not immediately see how the change affects the position of the work order in the scheduling sequence. To see the work order's new position, select Resequence and Refresh Grid from the grid's pop-up menu. The scheduler will resequence the grid based on your changes and present the results back to you. Both target finish date and priority influence how the scheduler automatically sequences work orders. Thus, adjusting these fields allows you to indirectly influence work order scheduling position. However, you can directly arrange work order scheduling position. Many times this is faster than changing target finish date and/or priority because you simply assign an explicit scheduling position to a work order. Once you manually adjust work order scheduling sequence, the scheduler stops auto-sequencing and instead uses the explicit sequence number you've given to each work order. You can check whether you're manually sequencing work orders or you're letting the scheduler automatically sequence work orders by right-mouse clicking the work order grid and looking at Manually Sequence Work Orders setting. Toggle between manual and automatic sequencing by clicking the Manually Sequence Work Orders menu item with your mouse. The scheduler automatically changes to manual sequencing when you do the following. 1. You move multiple work orders via the Move Multiple Rows pop-up menu item, and you're not currently sequencing manually. 2. You type a new sequence number into the scheduling sequence cell of a work order, and you're not currently sequencing manually. Or 3. You define work order dependencies, and you're not currently using manual sequencing. You can move several rows up or down via the Move Multiple Rows menu option. Select the work orders you want to move by selecting the rows. When selecting multiple rows, you can use the Control or Shift keys to keep previously selected rows highlighted. Right-mouse-click on any of the selected rows. Choose Move Multiple Rows from the menu. This displays the Move Multiple Rows dialog box. Enter the row you want to move the selected rows after, and press OK. As you can see, the rows we selected are now near the top of the list. Another way of changing a work order's position in the scheduling queue is to type the new position directly into the scheduling sequence cell. For example, let's say you want to move row 25 behind row 21. Simply type 21 into row 25's scheduling sequence cell and press Enter. The scheduler will reposition row 25 immediately after row 21. It now becomes the 22nd work order in the scheduling queue. All of the rows following it are renumbered accordingly. A handy tool when editing or browsing the results of a scheduling run is filtering the work order grid to make it easier to focus on a related group of work orders. To filter the list, select Filter Sequenced Work Orders from the pop-up menu and choose the filters you wish to use. For example, if we want to focus just on late work orders, we filter by Schedule Status Late. Only the work orders that have a status of late will be displayed on the grid. Notice that the scheduling sequence numbers maintain their relative position in the scheduling queue. Another key scheduling directive is whether or not a work order is nailed. Work orders that are not nailed get rescheduled every time you run the scheduler. They get scheduled one after the other based on their position in the scheduling queue. Thus, unnailed work orders may get a new scheduled start and scheduled finish date when you run the scheduler, and they may get new resource assignments based on the scheduling directives that exist when the scheduler is run. Nailed work orders, on the other hand, do not get rescheduled, and thus their scheduled start and scheduled finish dates do not change. Moreover, the resource assignments tied to the work order do not change. Essentially, when you nail a work order, you are saying that you like its start and finish dates, and you want to commit the resources assigned to that work order so they can't be used elsewhere, at least for those dates that they are now committed to working on the nailed work order. The main reason to nail work orders is to reduce the number of active work orders in your scheduling list. Once you run the scheduler and assess the results, you can nail work orders whose dates meet target finish dates. This is critical if the work order has 0 or just a day or two of positive slack time, since subsequent scheduling runs may cause an on-time work order to become late. Essentially, nailing work orders that you're satisfied with lets you focus on work orders with problems or that have sufficient positive slack time to allow them to remain in the scheduling queue. You can nail work orders from either the Work Order tab or the Job Tree tab. If you want to nail all of the work orders under a particular job or job item, we recommend using the Job Tree tab, since you can nail at the job level or job item level, and the scheduler will automatically nail all of the work orders underneath the job or job item at the same time. To nail a work order on the Work Order tab, navigate to the Nailed column and click your mouse in the cell. This places a check in the checkbox indicating the work order is nailed. The scheduler posts a status message letting you know that work order has been nailed. You can nail or unnail multiple work orders at the same time. Select all of the work orders you wish to nail. Right-click on one of the selected rows and select Mass Change Nailed checkbox. This changes all the selected rows accordingly and presents a status message at the end tallying the number of affected work orders. If you've turned on Show Nailed Work Orders in the grid's pop-up menu, the scheduler will move the work order you just nailed down to the bottom of the work order list in the Nailed Work Order area. Work orders you unnailed are moved to the bottom of the working list of unnailed work orders. You'll spend a lot of time on the Work Order tab adjusting dates to match changing priorities. If you want to change several work orders at the same time, select the work orders you want to change a specific date for. If you want to select non-contiguous rows, remember to hold down your Control button so previously selected rows stay highlighted. Right-click and select Mass Change Date from the pop-up menu. Pick the date you wish to change from the calendar and click OK. The scheduler changes all of the dates accordingly.